What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be learning how to create brand new HTML elements using just JavaScript. Typically you'll be doing this when you're building projects after you fire off an event, like when you click a button or a mouse over something, and maybe after you do that you'll want to show a new element or create something. That's the most practical way to do it. We're not going to be using events in this video. I'll get to that in another lesson, but I'm just going to show you how to create events because there's some steps to it, and you should at least get those steps down before you move on to the more complicated stuff. So as you can see here in the page, I have created here, I have a little bit of CSS here. Just have a container. I have a heading and some paragraphs on our page so far. And I'm in our JavaScript course files. This is called 16-createElements.html, and I will link this in the description. But yeah, we're gonna get started now. So we're gonna pretend like this is like a little blog website, and I want to make another heading below this, and then maybe even like another paragraph. And we're gonna do that all by creating those elements with HTML, inserting them into the page with HTML. Okay. So let's say I want to make a heading 2 here. So the first step to that is to create it. So we'll just make little pseudocode comments here as we go. And go ahead and code along with me so you can get this down, okay? So we'll put here create new h2 element. Okay. And to do that, I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to say const new heading. And that's going to be equal to document.createElement, okay? And then in the parentheses, we're going to put quotes and the element that we want to make, and that's going to be an h2 in this case. All right. So that just created a new h2, and nothing's here because we don't have any text added to it, and we haven't even added it to we haven't written the code necessary to actually render it on the page. But just to show you that it's there, we'll do a console.log, and we'll say new heading. Oops. And we'll right-click, inspect, go to the console, and there's our new h2, okay? So it's there. There's nothing in it yet. The next step here that we have to do is we have to create something called a text node, and that text node is what's going to store the text that we want to put in our h2. So let's see. Create text node. Okay. So again, we'll put this text node in a variable. So we'll say const new heading text, and that will be equal to document.create text node, and then parentheses, quotes, and we'll just say this is my new heading. Okay, so we'll save. And again, nothing's showing yet because we haven't added it, or what's called appending. We have to append or add this to the h2 and then render it on the page. So we've got a couple more steps to go. So the next step after we create our text node is we want to append this text, which is just a way of saying we want to add this text into our h2 element, because right now even though they both exist, they're separate. They don't even know each other exists. So we're going to do something called appending, or adding the text to our element. Okay, so we'll say, we'll say append text to h2. And to do that, we're going to write the following code. We're going to say new heading. So our new heading variable that is storing our h2, we're going to say new heading dot append child, and then same thing, we're going to use our quote or our parentheses, and then in there we're going to actually put our new heading text variable. Okay, and we save, and there it is. Okay, so just to recap, we're putting our new heading, our h2, this variable, we're going to say dot append child, and remember append just means add this to this, and a child because a child is, we learned this in HTML, parents and children elements. This is like going to be a child node or a child element, so it's going to go inside the heading. And in our parentheses, we're calling our new heading text, which is this is my new heading, right? So this equals this text. We saved in the console, and here it is. So Now our H2 has the text, this is my new heading. Again, it's not on the page yet, so we still have to do that final step of actually appending it to the page, or adding it to the page. So to do that, we're actually going to, since everything is wrapped in this container div, which is why our text has some spacing here and it looks prettier, looks better than if I didn't have it, we're going to create a variable. We're going to grab onto this container, and then we're going to append the H2 to the container. Okay. So we're going to go down here, and we're going to grab that container. So let's say const container equals document dot, we'll say query selector, because it's a class, so we'll use query selector, and we'll say we want to select the class of the element that has the class of container. So let's make a little note here. Say grab onto container element with JS. Okay. So now we have container saved in the container variable. And now we can go ahead and add the new heading and the text to the container, to that as a child, so that it'll actually be on the page. So we can say container dot append child, that same thing, and now we'll say new heading. And now then, since the new heading has the text added to it, it should show up right here on the page. So let's see, let's save. Then there it is. This is my new heading. Okay. So we'll just make a note here. Append new element to the page. All right. So that's how you do it, guys. Those are the steps. I know it's kind of lengthy. That's why it's good to learn stuff with multiple steps like this and just like one-off videos that just focus on that one thing. But this is how you do it. So again, we created the new element. Then we got to create the text node, which is the actual text that's going to go inside it. Then you have to append, that word append, or add the text to your element. And then depending on where you want the element to be, you have to put, you could put the body, whatever you want. You have to grab onto whatever parent element you want to put it in or under with a variable. So we chose the container here, this container, because it's containing all of our stuff. And we just put it in a variable. And then we said, hey, container, we want to append the child, or again, we want to add the new element of new heading. And that's how it appeared on the page, okay? Now, just to show you, you can also add attributes to your elements. You can add like IDs and classes. So just to show you that, we'll do add class name to new element. And let's just say new heading. And then you say dot class name. And now we can do parentheses, and we could say, or sorry, no parentheses. Say dot class name equals, and then we can do quotes, and then you just put whatever you want the class name to be. So I'll name this article heading as my class. Okay. So, and then when we saved, look at here in the console. Now our H2 has a class of article heading, okay? So we added a class just like normal, like with HTML, but we did it with the JavaScript. And we can also add IDs. We can say add ID to new element. And for that, we would do new heading. Whoops. New heading dot ID equals, and then we can just call it header ID. And look, now it has a class, article heading, and an ID, header ID. And just to demonstrate that that would actually work, we can actually, let's try to attach a style to the class. Let's say dot article heading. And let's say font family Arial, and save. And look, now it's Arial. So now we're using this class that we created with JavaScript to actually style it. So that's pretty cool. Can make it bigger. And at this point, guys, we're just using regular CSS, but we created the element and the class that we're styling it with all in JavaScript. Okay? So that's a little bit behind the scenes of like how some apps work when they'll render a lot of this stuff. Like you might be looking at a page and it looks like it's HTML and CSS, but behind the scenes, the person might be rendering a lot of it with JavaScript by doing stuff like this. So yeah, guys, that's it for this video. That's how you create elements with JavaScript. And I do want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.